Welcome everybody. Let's talk about snow goose hunting. So snow goose hunting overall, I think most waterfowlers would agree it's probably the hardest of birds to hunt. I would say for us, it feels like 1 out of every 5 hunts goes successfully, depending on what success is for a hunter. Killing more than 1 bird maybe, or something like that. We've had a lot of hunts where we don't even kill any birds, but we always seem to have, a pretty enjoyable time other than the setup and teardown, which takes a long time. But just being out there with a group of guys in God's creation is just, it's perfect, it's beautiful. But here's what we've learned along the way with snow goose hunting that could probably help you, that has helped us become better snow goose hunters, because we are in no way great at snow goose hunting. We're not the best. We don't know that much, but we have had some successful hunts and many unsuccessful hunts, and we have learned through those failures kind of what's worked and how to be more successful when hunting snow geese. So first off, tip number 1, I would say, is scouting. Scouting is going to be the most important thing with snow goose hunting. I know in the past we've made so many mistakes with not scouting enough. We see some birds, oh, they're in the field. Well, let's go hunt that tomorrow, and we saw them once in the field. In all reality, the best thing would be to scout these birds for a couple days. If you could see them in the morning and the evening, know the water that they're on, figure out what water they're roosting on, where are they coming from to get to the field they're feeding on. Are they feeding in the morning? Are they feeding in the evening? These are all very important things to know. Then you got to know, are you hunting on the X where they're feeding? Are you traffic hunting, which is between the X and the water where they're roosting, and you're trying to traffic these birds in under their flight pattern to go feed? Hunting the X is obviously the way to go if you can get on the exact spot, because that's where the birds are going to be, that's where they're going to want to be, and if you can be there, that's the best way to go. Like I said, in the past we have not done the proper scouting, and we suffer the consequences of the birds not being there, or we were there in the evening but they were there in the morning, or vice versa. Scouting is the most important thing, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of drive time, a lot of time out of your schedule. So try to split it up with some buddies. That always works really well. And talk with each other about what you're seeing when you're scouting. So when we're scouting as well, we're also looking for, are the birds juvies or are they adults? Juvies are younger birds. They're so much easier to decoy. They're not as smart, they haven't been hunted, haven't been shot at as much as the adults. Snow geese can live to be about 30 years old, so they've been shot at, hunted, they get smart. Adults are very smart. Juvies, they've got some grayish coloring to them, a little patchy. They're not fully white or fully dark as a blue, they'll have some gray to them, some different discoloration that you can pick out. So always be on the lookout for juvies. You want to be hunting them. They can also pull adult birds in with them, which is nice. The other thing is, how big is the feed that you're scouting? Some feeds are just too small that aren't quite worth it to hunt. Other ones, you're looking for the really big ones, a full field covered, but maybe not necessarily, because a full field covered means they might eat out that field that night, and they might not be back in the morning then. So keep an eye out for that as well. But generally, they'll be there again. So it's kind of the way to go. So tip number 2, I would say, is your hide. This is where you're hiding within or outside your decoy spread to hunt the birds. This could be laying in whites under the decoys, typically socks. It could be layout blinds. You've got A-frames, pit blinds, trailer blinds. There's all kinds of options that you can have when hunting. I've even laid under just like a blanket on the ground before too, and it works. It's not as comfortable, but it does work. So the hide is most important. You've got to be invisible to the birds. The birds, there's so many eyes looking at you. Snow geese, I mean, all waterfowl have amazing eyesight, and they over time they learn to pick out, you know, what's a human hiding in a blind and what's not. So utilizing decoys to hide yourself as well is very important. I've laid in whites in painter suits under the decoys. I think it's easier for them to pick you out that way though. Layout blinds are pretty good as long as you can hide them really well. Usually a cut cornfield with a lot of corn stalk laying around is great for layout blinds. I would even say put the layout blinds on a fence line or get outside of the decoy spread so the birds aren't looking at you, because they're looking at where they want to go to feed for that food, which is the top of that spread. Our best hunt was layouts on a fence line outside of the spread, maybe 30 yards to shoot the birds, but it worked great. Pit blinds, that's, if you got the land and you can build your own pit blind, you're on the right spot, you're set. Can't really move those around. My cousin's got this amazing trailer blind though. This thing is fancy, it's heated, it's got a grill inside to cook, it's got lights, it's dressed like a wall of cattails. This thing is fancy. You roll it out into the field, drop it down, and you're set to go. I think this thing would be amazing on fence line or edge of cattails or trees. Perfect blind to hunt out of. You can fit a lot of guys in it, and it's easily hideable. I think we just didn't have success with it this year because we didn't get out that much with it. The fields were too wet, so we'd get stuck with it, and then snow and ice came, and the birds got pushed out early for our season. So didn't get a chance to really hunt them, but we tried. The other thing was A-frames. A-frames are easily set up on a fence line. You can get them out in the field quick, set them up. I think they're great for hide. And you can fit a bunch of guys inside of them too. With the hide, it's just, you've got to dress your blinds really well. You got to keep your faces hidden. It's got to look natural with the decoys placed in there too if you're in the hole. But if you can get out of the hole and be off to the side or somewhere where the birds aren't necessarily looking, you're going to have a better chance. So as far as decoys go, you've got many different options. There's socks, there's floaters, full bodies, shells, flappers, flyers, vortexes, clones. So you've got tons of options. The cheaper is going to be shells and socks, or silhouettes. There's silhouettes as well. But from a top-down view, I just don't know if those look the best, because snow geese seem to come from above, circle around, make a tornado, then come down. But full bodies, I would say, is the way to go. Maybe some socks in there for movement with wind, and then some clones. That's been our best bet, is full bodies, clones, some socks. So I feel like we've tried so many things. Full bodies, I've never tried just a full body hunt because we haven't had enough, but that would be my go-to probably. Movement is key. The decoys need to be moving, look like they're moving. That's why the socks are usually used, especially on windy days. And socks are lightweight. There's a bunch of them. You can get them cheaper. You can have a ton of those. But full bodies do look the most realistic. They look the best, and they do move really well with a lot of wind. I would say a full body spread, 300 full bodies, some clones. That would be my go-to. But we've been doing, 150 full bodies and 600 socks and some clones on a windy day, and this seems to work really well. Decoys can be very expensive, but if you can get buddies together, invest in decoys together as a group, that's going to be your best bet, the way to go. It's good to have as many as you can get, but you don't need a bunch. I think you can hunt over 300 decoys. I would say do full bodies, but it just depends on the spot, everything else into play. Which brings me to my fourth tip: weather. Gotta know the weather. You've gotta keep an eye on this weather as well, because weather is very important when you're hunting snow geese or all waterfowl, really. The wind is gonna be a big factor, because wind is gonna help your decoys look more realistic. They're gonna have movement. Birds seem to decoy easier in wind. They come into a pocket or a certain spot against the wind to land, so you know how you're going to decoy them in. Without wind, things just become unpredictable. cold fronts, weather, warm, snow, rain. There's so many elements that can affect a hunt. For example, one time we could have hunted on a Friday morning these snow geese where they were, and we said, let's wait one more day. We're gonna go Saturday morning. Well, a big snowstorm and cold came through Friday night. Saturday morning, the birds were gone. Didn't even see them. They didn't come toward our field. They just weren't around. So weather has a big factor. So keep an eye on weather, know the weather patterns, how birds work in the weather. That will help. All right, now the decoy spread and setup. The decoy spread, you're gonna want to make it look natural as possible. However, you saw the geese out there. The geese, snow geese, are always trying to get upwind of other geese, get in front of that feed, and get on top of the food first. So they're trying to jump over each other. They're not trying to come into the empty part of a U, they're trying to get on the front side of that. So generally I try to make maybe a W shape or a teardrop shape with strings coming down pretty far. I'll put up some photos of kind of what I do. And this is generally the shape I like to go with, maybe a W with a long middle strand going down. And decoy spacing, 5 to 10 steps between each decoy. As you're getting further away from where you want the birds to land, space them out even more. As you're getting closer, you want to thicken it up. You want it dense. You want the decoys, 2 steps apart, 3 steps apart. Make it dense. That's where all the birds are going to want to go to get in there to join the feed. The next thing I want to talk about is shells and, guns and chokes. So I would say my go-to, I go for cheaper shells when it comes to snow goose hunting. So I go with the Federal 3-inch 2-shot or BB. You're gonna be shooting a lot with snow geese usually, and that's gonna get expensive over time. So I try to stick with the cheapest shells I can get. As far as the choke tube, I like to use full or an extended full that I have. Sometimes you're gonna be reaching birds that are out further or up further, and you wanna have that extended or full range to reach those birds. I use a Benelli Super Black Eagle 2, and I love that gun so much. I also have, for spring snow geese, I have my Mossberg 935 with an extended mag. It holds 13 plus, maybe one extra. It's pretty awesome when it comes to spring snow geese. So here's another topic. We've got fall snow goose and spring snow goose. In the fall, you can still only have 3 shells in your gun. In the spring, you can have as many as you can fit in your gun. In the fall, we can have 50 birds a person in South Dakota. And then in the spring, it's unlimited kill. So that's kind of wild. But spring snow goose hunting is quicker. It's shorter season. They come through pretty fast. And it seems to be harder to decoy spring snows. You got to have a lot of decoys. You got to be in the right spot. It's always been so much tougher. I've sat out in permanent spreads that my buddy grandpa put out back in the day, and that was fun. It worked really well. But fall snow goose hunting seems to be easiest for us. Fall snow goose hunting, you have to use manual, goose calls. And in the spring, you can utilize electronic snow goose callers. Those are pretty wild. They get loud too, and they're expensive as well. But, we've been on so many hunts where you don't even have to be calling. The birds are coming. They want to be there. They're so loud themselves, and they're coming right in, and we aren't even calling. But if you can get a bunch of guys on some hand calls, that's the way to go. Works just fine. It's perfect. So all in all, with snow goose hunting, it is very tough. It's the hardest of waterfowl to hunt. You're gonna have a lot of failures, but slowly over time, you'll figure out how to be successful with them. But you're still not gonna have an amazing hunt every time where you're just getting limits. It's just not gonna happen with snow geese. They're so unpredictable, they're smart, but snow goose hunting has so many benefits, especially the food you get from it. With snow geese, the amount you can have, you're gonna be able to feed families and friends for days and weeks. The taste of snow goose, I think, it's my favorite bird to eat. I know people call them sky carp, but man, I think they're the walleye of the sky. I think snow geese taste well. It's the perfect size breast. You know, you can fill it with cream cheese, bacon, wrap it on the grill. You can make goose tacos. You can do goose kebabs. These are just 3 of my favorite things to do with snow goose meat. And jerky or goose sticks as well, if you've got the processing equipment or the way to make that. So good. I can't say enough good things about it. You know, God provides us an overabundance of food up in the sky, and snow geese is a great show of that. Get out there and enjoy hunting, harvest a lot of snow goose, and enjoy eating it as well. God is good. He provides. From Him are all things, and to Him are all things. To God be the glory. Thank you, everyone. Get out there, kill some snow geese. Enjoy.